Now, more on a story that we brought you earlier this week about a seriously ill wheelchair-bound man who was left to live in his car because the Ministry of Social Development didn't regard his situation as an emergency. The man, who has name suppression, has spoken exclusively to Checkpoint and says he was treated like a dog by MSD staff and left with no dignity. The ministry eventually put this homeless man into a motel on and off, but insisted he pay back the $10,000 odd it cost. The Social Security Appeal Authority reviewed his case in September 2017, but only delivered its decision last month. The authorities ordered MSD to wipe the man's debt. It concluded he was homeless through no fault of his own. His situation was an emergency, and leaving a man with a potentially fatal condition to live in a car was incompatible with New Zealand values. 2 days ago, MSD told us it won't proactively review similar cases to see whether other debts should be wiped. Instead, beneficiaries will need to chase them up. But the Deputy Boss of the Ministry of Social Development, Viv Rickard, said he was going to personally apologise to the man. While when I spoke to the man today, he said none of this was good enough. And as for the apology, he'd heard nothing.
I've had no contact whatsoever from either Vic Rickard, Carmel Sepuloni, or anyone from MSD in relation to the matter.
So no apology? No apology. What do you make of that?
Disgusting treatment. Like I don't matter. Demeaning and toxic.
Thinking back to the time that you were sleeping in your car, you were asking them for help, how would you describe the way they treated you?
I hope and I pray that there's not another person that has to go through what I went through at the time. Constantly going into work and income offices, branches, trying to seek help, not knowing whether I'll be alive the next day as I was going through medical problems. To be declined, to be left facing an uncertain future, not knowing whether I'm going to have a roof over my head, sleeping in my car in a wheelchair, having a wheelchair, not having any access to basic and essential needs like food, a roof over my head, a shower, and being declined.
How did that make you feel as a person?
Like, didn't make me feel human. To be completely honest, like, you know, like the people probably treat their pets with a lot more respect than what I got treated.
I've read the decision in your case and they say that you pleaded for help.
That's correct. I pleaded for my life with them. I pleaded.
And they just didn't hear you?
They didn't hear me. They didn't care. They did not care. My life was on the line. My life was in God's hands. And they left me out there like a dog, in pain, not being able to walk, being in a wheelchair, with my life being on the line with the DVT.
And no help?
No help. No help. I was out there on the street.
They eventually got you in a motel, but that was on and off, wasn't it?
That was on and off. I had to constantly discharge myself from hospital due to my health in order to make my WINS appointments, to get housing, whether it be housing, a motel for the night, food, just the basics that every human should be entitled to. I'll self-discharge against the advice of the doctors and the nurses at the hospital, just in order to make that appointment because of the pressure that I was feeling.
Why do you think that they couldn't see how desperate you were?
I think there were some case managers that I was dealing with that unfortunately they could clearly see what was going on for me. I was providing them with all my documentation, all my doctor's notes, my situation at the time. I had police reports as well, being a victim of a crime around the same time. And due to how the organisation works. I guess it's just they have to show a cold heart and decline me due to being obligated to meeting targets or doing their job.
Do you think this was about them ticking boxes and
Ticking
meeting
boxes,
targets?
I'm just a stat. I'm just a number. I'm not a human. I'm not a person.
And then they hit you with a $10,000 plus debt, because that's the cost of on and off putting you into a motel. Could you ever afford to pay that back?
No. I'm still currently, if it wasn't for the appeals authority ruling in my favour, I'd still be paying it to this day.
What does it do to you knowing that you've got that hanging over your head and you can never pay it back?
The pressures of not only having that extreme debt over my head, but just the basic essentials to live everyday life is a struggle as well. There's no way in my lifetime that I'll be able to afford to pay that debt back.
Were there times that you thought you weren't going to make it, that you could die in that car?
Many times. I feared for my life. Yet no one knew my struggle at the time.
So would you just park up somewhere for the night?
My daughter, my family did not know what I was going through, because I didn't want to reach out for help to them or put them through what I was going through.
Were you made to feel embarrassed about your situation?
Degraded, no self-respect, and I didn't want to bother anyone with my problems. I just hoped and prayed that tomorrow would be a better day.
So you would just park up in your car for a night?
There are many occasions where I actually park up outside, whether it be Housing New Zealand offices, working income offices. In order to be seen, I'd park up and spend the night in a local park or car park.
So do you worry that there are others in the same situation as you?
I know that there's other people in the same sort of circumstances as myself that, out of no fault of their own, circumstances change. It's out of their control, and they're forced to live on the street, struggling with children even.
And some with debt?
Some with debt, many with debt.
So I've spoken to the Ministry of Social Development, and they aren't going to go back and check cases. They're saying that if people want to question the debts that they've got, it's up to them to come to the department and make their case. Is that fair? What do you think should happen?
I think they should do a complete overhaul of all the cases and review them. I don't feel it's the beneficiaries or people in the same sort of situation as myself to go to working income MSD offices and plead and fight. I feel it's the government that should be making policy changes to change things for the better, to come up against organisations like MSD. It's a David and Goliath situation. You know, I can see how people can become deflated and give up. I can see it.
I want to give you the chance to speak directly now to the bosses at the Ministry of Social Development, to the politicians, to all of those people you say are in powerful positions. What do you want them to know? What do you want to say?
I'm tired of going into working income offices, dealing with case managers, and it's well over their head. Not being heard, and I'm more than willing and actually wanting this to happen. Mr. Cipollone, I want to sit down with you directly and face you. And I'm more than willing to come to your office, as I did a few weeks ago, in relation to some of the issues that I have.
You want to tell her what it's like?
Exactly.
To walk a mile in your shoes?
Exactly.
Do you think she understands?
I don't think she does. I think these organisations, Viv Rickard, Carmel Cipollone, They're delusional. Delusional.
Do they have to do better?
They must do better. I'm demanding they do better. They demand beneficiaries, you know, make their appointments, you know, live like animals. So I'm demanding you show me the respect that I'm due.
Is there anything else you want to say?
I'd just like to say that for the people out there in New Zealand that are struggling, that don't have a roof over their head, no food, just keep on fighting, have a little bit of faith that there might be some changes soon, that my interview today won't be for nothing, that somewhere in Mr. Stepaloni or Viv Rickard, the organisation, Jacinda Ardern, that they might be able to see in their heart to make changes, not talk about things, not all these policies, not making changes, false promises. I voted for your party, Jacinda, in order for change from National Party, because I saw they didn't do nothing. I put it to you to make change. Don't talk about things, false promises.
And just a couple of points of clarification. So that debt, just a reminder, it was accrued under the national government with a recoverable special needs housing grant, meaning that he had to pay it back. But the debt was kept on the books under this current government. The man told us he had approached Jenny Salisa, Phil Twyford and Carmel Sepaloni for help, but says he got none. So he also says, as for the apology, he is easy to find. He is a Housing New Zealand tenant and is still a client of MSD. So can't understand why Viv Rickard can not find him there. So the invitation remains open. We've asked Carmel Sepaloni to come on the program to discuss some of his concerns. And I've just been handed a statement from Carmel Sepaloni that says, this unfortunate case happened under the previous government. I empathise with this man. Under this government, his emergency housing grant would not have been made recoverable. I have been clear with MSD that people seeking support should be treated with fairness and respect and be given their correct entitlements. I encourage anyone that believes they haven't been treated fairly or given access to their correct entitlements to contact MSD to seek a review of their decision. Invitation still stands to the Minister, Carmel Sepaloni. We'd love to speak to you on the show. Do give us a call in the next hour.